Amrote, thanks a lot for joining us on the show today. What are some of the challenges women are facing in the workplaces globally, but more so here in Africa?
Look, I think the past year was a challenging one, right? And so if we look at what the pandemic did from those who were stay-at-home moms to those who are working, balancing sort of, family health and also sort of school education for kids was a challenging year on out. But then sort of coming out of it, right, to see sort of the appointment of Dr. Ngozi and others has really shown what it actually takes for us to rise, not just at a regional level, not even at a country level, but at international organizations, and to be able to lead them with such vigor and credentials is, I think, something that we've been able to see. Now, coming out of it on the other side, which is the post-COVID world, is how do we now sort of build on this momentum to be able to sort of accelerate our opportunities?
Now, a lot of young women are facing challenges in terms of access to technology. Actually, reports have actually shown lately that during the pandemic, a lot of girls did not have access to education because of technology. Tell us about the work you're doing to help give them a leg up.
Absolutely. Look, the number one is sort of how do we solve for the infrastructural challenges that we have? So that's around connectivity. So that's one that we've continued to lead around last mile connectivity to really make sure that schools are on board. And that has now even become more pressing. The second one is around health, which is how do we make sure that, that our healthcare systems have data, have availability of services that they can actually extend to citizens. So I think, look, the pandemic has now given us an opportunity to see how do we get last mile connectivity up and running and top of mind, but more importantly, how do we now sort of move to a virtual sort of ability to extend education in places where we otherwise would not have had it not been for the pandemic.
Of course, the pandemic has exposed some of the challenges women are facing globally, more so here in Africa. But let's take it to a policy level away from the work you're doing. What could be done to help support such women get access to information, to knowledge, to education?
Look, I think it's the policy will come, but I think the first one is actually even acknowledging the challenges that we have had, right? So having had schools close for a year and change has had multiple sort of social implications. So to solve for that, number one is we need to understand as Africans in Africa that we need to digitize, right? That's the real number one challenge that we need to have, and that we need to spend money in infrastructure and technology, in policy frameworks that allows us to now be competitive, right? To talk about data residency, talking about sort of, data sovereignty, and how do we actually allow our economies to be competitive. So once we have that foundation, right, and you build on that sort of the infrastructure, the broadband, the network, now we can talk about the services that need to be extended and really look, this is our one chance to sort of out of the gate to really be able to accelerate health, education, government service extensions to really now come at the forefront in terms of our public sector spends.
Amrote, many thanks for having time to speak to us today. Now, a quick look at other stories making headlines.